2016 was a monumental year in gaming for a variety of reasons. Hype for prominent AAA titles was through the roof, some deserving of the widespread praise, others not so much. Nearly 4,000 games were released on Steam, the widely popular retail service for the PC platform that has been around since 2004. And that eye-popping release number makes up nearly 40% of the service's catalog. Although an unmistakably large crop of these games were poorly designed shovelware or lazy cash grabs, it is at least a positive thing that people across the world were able to express themselves in this industry in higher numbers than any other time in history. Though there is merit in new ideas being presented in innovative ways, some video game conglomerates have not taken too kindly to the creative brushstrokes of certain game developers. 2016 ended up being a banner year for game companies, striking down the hopes of fan game creators that use their copyrighted material to spin off and create something new. Nintendo was a particularly noteworthy player in this, issuing a cease and desist notice to fan projects like ROM hack Pokemon Uranium and the Metroid 2 remake A2MR, forcibly removing games from the indie game distributing websites like GameJolt and itch.io, and punctuating this whole mess by DMCAing the long-awaited Pokemon Prism ROM hack after its pre-release trailer garnered over 1 million views on YouTube. There is a saying that goes, when a piece of art is created, it becomes property of the people. While the spirit of that saying might hold some truth, modern copyright law under a capitalist system would prefer to disagree with this notion. Companies of various media holdings have a challenge to protect their exclusive rights for their copyrighted material, should they ever be taken to court over said rights. However, the gaming community can be particularly fervent in their desire to create and play content based on the franchises that they have adored for so many years. So this tug of war between the interests of the people versus the interests of the copyright proprietors has the potential to take on an ugly visage that ends up damaging both parties in the end. For Pokemon Prism, creator Koolboyman was forced to shut down his website containing Prism, as well as two of his other noteworthy ROM hacks, Pokemon Brown and Pokemon Region Adventures. He issued a public statement canceling his involvement with the project, and things seemed bleak for those fans who were itching to play his lovingly crafted Pokemon fan creation. Despite this, a tweaked final beta version of the game was leaked onto various web outlets, and the public got what they wanted, despite its creator being dragged through the mud. The ironic part of this was the project likely gained more of a following because Nintendo decided to step in and do something, even though the YouTube trailer was already massively popular. This is a classic example of the Streisand effect, where publicized suppression of an entity creates more attention for what is trying to be suppressed, an unintended effect for the suppressor. People are known to have a fixation on what is controversial, and some who hadn't played a Pokemon game since the 1990s or early 2000s were coming out in droves to grab a piece of what Pokemon Prism had to offer. Nintendo has been criticized for these actions, to almost nobody's surprise, though it is very understandable that they would want to protect one of their most fiscally prolific intellectual properties at any cost. They are trying to defeat fan projects that carve out a niche out of the older generations of games, the ones that millions of people who grew up in the 1990s fell in love with. Nintendo has done very little to extend an olive branch to these folks, besides releasing a gimmicky Ingress clone phone game with classic Pokemon featured and microtransactions abound. Though they continue to pump out quality titles in the Pokemon franchise, Those who have no interest in buying a 3DS or whatever new handheld Nintendo will put out next are essentially locked out of the franchise altogether, left to reminisce about the good old days of Pokemon. So, this is my statement to you, Nintendo, even though you'll probably never hear these words. If you're going to strong-arm fan creators who want to create new experiences with variations of your classic charming sprite style, you had better reciprocate with demake-style games of your own. You are effectively killing off interest in your brand for some people who don't have an interest in the three-dimensional Pokemon worlds of the 3DS, with like hundreds of Pokemon that many people don't even recognize. If you want to be so driven to shut down people's love letters to your old games, you need to do the right thing, and pay people within your own company to give the people what they want instead. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I hope my perspective on this issue at least gets to somebody out there who can make a difference. I'm just a voice in a crowd, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels this way, but I just had to make this heard in some manner. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I make content like this regularly on my channel, so please subscribe as well if you'd like to support my endeavors. I appreciate some of the positive words that I've received on some of my other videos, and I've got more ideas brewing for quality gaming content, so stay tuned everyone. See you all next time.